Hey friends, Sean from Draft Therapy here, and on today's review for you, one word, steampunk. Aw, shit. Manhattan Wizard is an 11% Belgian quadruple from Brewery Vivant in Grand Rapids, Michigan. It's been a couple years ago now that I've had my most recent taste of Wizard Burial Ground. I didn't have last year's, but I did have 2018's. That's the base beer of Manhattan Wizard here. Now, Wizard Burial Ground is a bourbon barrel-aged quad, where Manhattan Wizard is a rye whiskey barrel-aged version of the original Wizard Burial Ground, but it also, as a bonus, because that's not enough, it has orange peel and cherries added, and that sounds like a lot of stuff. So without further ado, this sounds like it could be a really big mouthful, so let's take a look at the label. We'll get it into a glass. Big thanks to Jason for sending this one my way. Fun fact, The Wizard of Oz is the only film with wizard in its title to ever win an Oscar. They can't all be winners, folks. Sorry about that. So let's take a look at the label here. Now, I mentioned steampunk earlier, and maybe it's not so much steampunk, but this reminds me of steampunk. It looks like a guy. It's got this wizard-looking dude who I think of as like a Tesla or somebody like that. He's like shooting these purple bolts out of his hand, and there's the Wizard Burial Ground wizard, like a piece of paper with his face on it. And it says Manhattan Wizard, has some runes on it and such. And it says rye whiskey barrel-aged quadruple ale with cherries and orange peel, 11% alcohol by volume. That's really all there is. There's a government warning in the address for Brewery Vivant and their website, breweryvivant.com. 1% of all sales benefit local charities. But they left enough room on this whole thing. It's really very minimal. The actual like labeling, all the artwork and stuff is really cool. It almost reminds me of like, I don't know, some World of Warcraft crazy, art style. But overall, it's a really cool label, and I'm a fan of it. I'd like to see more stuff like this from Brewery Vivant. And this says packaged on November 29th, 2019. No farms, no beer. And that's very true. So let's go ahead and grab a glass here. I'm going to grab my Draft Therapy Tiku glass. I could use a Belgian, like, snifter kind of glass, but I'm going to use this one because it's been a while. It hasn't made an appearance on the show recently. So let's go ahead and crack this open. We'll put a nose right on the can like I do, I guess. My thing, I guess. So let's go ahead and put my nose on the can here. That's an interesting kind of smell. It's got a sweet smell to it. It's got almost like a bready kind of smell, like a pastry kind of smell. A sweetness, but it's also got this a tiny kind of pungency just directly out of the can here. So let's go ahead and pour. And I'm always amazed at quadruples how light they come out. It's a very caramel colored beer coming out of the can and in the glass, collecting as a little bit of a light brown, maybe a caramel kind of color. Let's go ahead and put the label there front and center so you guys can see it. And as you can see, the head is really tiny, compact bubbles, really small. There's a few, larger popping bubbles, but it's holding on somewhat. It's got maybe about a finger to a finger and a half ahead there. It's dissipated a little bit, and I can even see lacing a little bit around the glass from where the head's already kind of dissipated a little bit. Holding it up to the light, it's got like an orangey brown kind of caramel, light caramel. It's not quite dark caramel color, but it's got a light caramel color. And moving my fingers in front of the light and between the light and the glass, I can see my reflection. Hey, how you doing? But I can see my fingers kind of, through the shadow of them, but not any kind of detail or anything. So it's not clear. It's not what I would call hazy, but it is borderline opaque. Like I can see a little bit through there. I can see the darkness of my fingers. Let's go ahead and put a better nose on the glass, and the head is still hanging on there. And that's the head, just to mention it, is a bit of off-white, a little bit lighter than tan, but darker than white. It's a little off-white. And holding it up to a nose, yeah, it's got this caramel kind of aroma coming out of it. I'm not picking up on any kind of cherries or orange peel. I guess maybe a little bit of a caramel / orange in there, but not really much. On the nose, it does have a sweet smell, maybe almost like a candy apple kind of smell. Not necessarily the apple part, but the caramel part. And yeah, so let's just jump into the unknown. Cheers. It has, like, the aroma, I mentioned a lot of caramel. It has a really strong, not like overpoweringly strong, but it has a really nice kind of caramel flavor to it. I was expecting with the rye whiskey to have that kind of spicy bite to it. But I think the cherries and the orange peel are kind of working together, working their little magic on the quadruple there. And it's giving it that sweet kind of caramel flavor. It's got a bit of a breadiness to it. The mouthfeel is kind of medium. It's not super thick. It's not really thin. At 11%, I would not be surprised if it was thicker, but it's got a really nice medium mouthfeel. And while we're on the subject of the 11%, this is super dangerous. Like, I could really easily see myself just kind of not chugging, but really kind of enjoying this and kind of working through it and like, oh, hey, just having an evening at home alone by the fire and watching, I don't know, Lifetime movies and just kind of drinking this and kind of letting the time go by. And by the time I'm done, Lifetime movies getting turned off, I'm turning on, I don't know, Die Hard or something instead. As I kind of take that slower drag, the initial kind of flavor, I was getting a lot of caramel. I'm still getting a caramel flavor in there, but I can taste more of that cherry in there, a little bit more of a tart kind of cherry. And I'm also getting a little bit more of that, I am getting a little bit more of that citrus peel. I am starting to get a little bit of a boozy character quality. It's kind of really hidden like deep down in there, but it's in there. And that spiciness, that boozy kind of spiciness is tickling my tongue a little bit on the finish. Let's take another drink. Yeah, when I get like, I took a drink and I kind of swished it. I took a little bit of a swallow and then I swished it. When I swished it on my tongue with just that really small amount in there, that sip basically is what was left. That's when that rye whiskey really kind of pops out. You get kind of that rye mixing with the original Wizard Burial Ground kind of character that was in there. But I'm picking up on the rye a lot more there, and I'm picking up a lot more on the orange peel. I think as you take a bigger kind of, maybe a bigger drink or a bigger gulp, that's when that kind of caramel kind of flavor is in there. And it's actually, the more I drink of it, the more that kind of fades out. And the more that's when I get the cherry kind of flavor. But I can tell you when I get the sip, when I get the little kind of just the amount that can coat my tongue, that's when I get the orange peel hardcore. And that's when the rye whiskey kind of really starts working its magic. You get a little bit of that boozy kind of characteristic, and you get a little bit more of that spicy rye kind of flavor in there. It's like a tale of two beers almost, right? Because when you take those first couple drinks and you get the aroma was really screaming out to me caramel, right? Like candy apple, caramel aroma. And then the first drink, kind of fresh when there was no kind of, you're just getting that first reaction. That's when a lot of that caramel, that kind of candy apple caramel kind of flavor came through, a little bit of the cherry. And then the more I drink of it now, the more I'm getting the cherry to come through, the more, if I'm just kind of using this as a sipper at 11%, maybe I should be slowing down a little bit. I'm getting more of that kind of the secondary characteristic of it, which is that rye whiskey flavor, that rye whiskey kind of booziness in there, and the orange peel as well. That's kind of starting to pull through a little bit more now too. I'm almost like consciously taking smaller drinks. And sitting with it to kind of pick up more on that. And then as I take larger drinks, subsequent larger drinks, then I'm almost forgetting about the caramel flavor that I was getting initially. And I'm getting kind of that cherry flavor. The caramel's still in there, but it's almost, the subsequent drinks after that first one have almost wiped out the entire kind of caramel characteristic that I'm getting. And now it's a lot more of that cherry on the big swallows. I'm getting that kind of spiciness from the rye on the big swallow, but on the small sip swallow, that's when I'm getting a lot of that orange. I'm getting a little bit of the cherry on that, a lot more of the orange peel, and a lot more of that rye whiskey flavor. A little bit more of that kind of booziness kind of comes through. And this is just a really kind of complex beer, and I appreciate that for it, because it's not like some of these beers that you try are kind of one and done. You might take a drink and it's like, okay, and that's all you taste the entire time. And I like to take smaller sips and see if sometimes you can kind of pick it apart a little bit more, maybe separate the wheat from the chaff. But with this, it has been like, I can't think of a beer in recent memory that I've tried that is so different from taking those, the initial taste, the initial sip, to the middle sip, or the middle taste, the bigger taste, to the small sip. It just changes, and it depends on how you drink it is how you're going to get those different flavors. And I think this is probably, I can't, tell you the temperature that I'm drinking. I mean, I could. Let's do that. Let's take the temperature. But I feel like this is the ideal kind of temperature to drink this at. And I don't know for certain, but I'm in the 50s. I'm right. It's kind of leveling off now. I'm in the low 50s. I don't think I'm at 50.7. I'll stop it there because it was kind of slowing down. But that's where I kind of want to drink it. I like where I'm at now with it. I think as it warms up, maybe you'll start to get a lot more of that kind of rye whiskey kind of flavor in there. But I'm enjoying the temperature that it's at because I'm getting all these different kind of looks. All these different kind of, perspectives at it. I want to take another whiff to see if I'm maybe getting a little bit of a different smell. That caramel kind of smell has subsided a little bit, but I'm still getting it, and I'm really enjoying that this has so many facets to it, and it makes me almost want to try some 2018 Wizard Burial Ground that I still have. So maybe I'll go back and try some of those. But Manhattan Wizard is really kind of, I like all the different angles that it's giving me. All right, friends, that has been Manhattan Wizard from Brewery Vivant in Grand Rapids. Have you been able to get your hands on this magical brew? Do you have a favorite Wizard beer, or maybe even a favorite Belgian? Let me know in the comments down below. And while you're down there, if you like beer, you might want to subscribe and click that bell, because I'm here talking about beer twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's all for free for viewers just like you, and you might miss your newest favorite if you're not subscribed. So until next time, I'm Sean from Draft Therapy. Thanks for stopping by, and remember, drink craft beer, support your local breweries wherever they are, and most importantly, don't forget to treat yourself to a little draft therapy. Thanks for watching. Cheers.